Welcome to Odyssey's Influencer Insights, your go-to place for anything influencers. Let's jump right in. Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Odyssey's Influencer Insights. I'm really excited to introduce Jay Ford, a renowned photographer, creative professional, and business owner. Jay has built an impressive career featured in Vogue magazine, GQ, and Harper's Bazaar. Today we'll be talking about his background, creative journey, and thoughts on entrepreneurship. Jay, welcome to the show.
What's up, man? I appreciate you having me. I'm excited for it.
Yeah, so to get started, I want to hear a little bit about your background. You're doing a lot, and we'll talk a little bit more about what you're currently doing, but I want to hear
Mhm.
kind of how you grew up and what brought you into what you're currently doing now today.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I'm from Palmdale, California. It's about an hour away from LA.
Mhm.
Small town, desert city. Not too many things to do besides go to school, play sports, and have a baby. So for me, I wanted to just kind of focus on sports at the time. I was a athlete. I played football my entire life, and I knew that was my ticket out. Ended up getting a scholarship to Northern Arizona. But in the midst of that, I kind of fell in love with photo and video while I was in high school. My dad got me my first camera when I was a freshman in high school. And from there, I knew that was going to be my career. And I remember telling myself, like, one day I want to travel around the world and take pictures and doing something somehow with the camera. And then that helped kind of make my decision for what university I wanted to go to. So, whatever scholarship that I got for football, I wanted to make sure they had a film program. And I picked Northern Arizona University at a film program. Um, as I was going there, I ended up getting hurt, having to hang up the cleats. And for most people that play sports, once their career is over in that sport, there's a little bit of a depression that they go through. For me, I didn't have that depression as much because like I knew film and photography was my end all be all. And I just put all my eggs into that basket and kind of took off from there. So after I graduated, I moved to LA and things started to go pretty well.
Very cool. Well, congrats that things have been working out. That's
Yeah,
a
for
great
sure.
story. And what was that like? So you were working, or so you were an athlete, and then you started kind of realizing you like photo. What was
Hmm.
that process like then when you stopped playing football and you fully committed to
Hmm.
doing photo? Like, what was that little section of your life like where you turned that kind of passion into a profession?
Yeah, for sure. So when I was done with the sports and everything, like I said, I knew this was going to be the end all be all, and I started my business right from there. I was like, all right, how do
Mhm.
I make money doing this? So I would take pictures of the pretty girls at school to kind of get my name out there, and then I would send it to other models and like, hey, I'm a photographer at in Flagstaff, Arizona. I would love to do your photos, and that's how I built a small portfolio from there. And then for film and stuff, like I used to work with sororities, fraternities, making like party videos of the university and stuff like that to kind of build a name for myself, but also practice at the end of the day. And then after each one, I kind of learned from each project how to maneuver in business more and more and more. And I was only 20 years old at the time, and I'm like, all right, this is what I want to do for the rest of my life. I ended up having a dream one day, and the dream was about just like kind of where my career could have went, my life could have went, and it was having a regular job. And I didn't like where my career was going. I didn't like that dream at all. It was a nightmare. And from that day, or the next day, I quit my job, and I was like, all right, let's do this full time. And from there, it was kind of, I just kept the ball rolling.
Very cool. Yeah, I checked out your YouTube channel and I saw those original videos that you were saying at school, the like cool cinematography stuff there.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, so I mean that kind of brings me into another question, which I wasn't even gonna
Mhm.
say now, but I'm kind of curious.
Mhm.
So, as well, I guess you were saying that the beginnings of your business, you started right off the bat around 20, and then you started
Mhm.
by creating content in school, and
Mhm.
then continue like branching off from that.
Yep, and I kind of
How
leverage that to get brands and different companies, small businesses, and like, hey, if I could do this for them, I can do this for you. And it
Mhm.
was tough at first because I didn't have too many proofs of concept. But that's why the passion projects are so important because, like, all right, I'm gonna create a passion project as a mock thing to a business. Let me create that and show them that I can do this, and you just have to pay me for it now.
And what would you say to someone that was kind of in your shoes there and wanted
Hmm.
to start some creative brand didn't want to, let's say they see their peers in school, at college and university getting those regular jobs, and you want a more creative path, what do you say you
Hmm.
learned from creating that business to be able to accomplish that?
Rephrase that again. I'm sorry.
Um, if let's say there's someone at university, kind of in your shoes, maybe that sees their
Hmm.
peers getting a regular job, and you don't want to work in an office, 9 to 5, stuff like that. From your
Hmm.
experience going that separate path and creating successful business, what would you say you've learned from that experience to other people that want to make it in a
Hmm.
creative business like that?
Yeah, I first want to say like there's nothing wrong with having a job. That was just my experience with it. I knew that's something that I didn't want to do, and every single person is a little bit different. Some people find their passion through their jobs, and for
Hmm.
me, well, I decided not to do that, and I kind of created that opportunity for myself, and I wanted to kind of go full force and kind of create that dream of just like what can I do with the camera, and there was no one person that kind of lay down the rules. There is no rule to being a successful person in the creative industry because you kind of have to create that. And for me, it was just putting projects out there that was meaningful to me that brands and companies want for themselves. And I think I got lucky. My name started to get out there a little bit. And then, yeah, once the ball's rolling, it gets going.
And so you were talking about those different shoots. Do you have,
Hmm.
I'm kind of curious to hear more about the content and the work that you're producing now. Would you say there's a favorite shoot that you've done? And can you talk a little bit more about what that is?
Um, there's so many. Like the GQ magazine was really fun, traveling all around the world. But probably one of my most favorite is being an ambassador for Canon USA. Um,
Mm-hmm.
Getting the perk of getting the new cameras and the new lenses. Whenever I wanted to create projects of my own, and I created a project as a short film called "What If," that we are putting in the film festivals, but it hasn't quite came out quite yet. It's actually going to come out in a couple of weeks, and
Okay.
I think that was my favorite project that I've ever done. They gave me the full budget that I wanted to create this project. They backed me. They supported me 100%. I was able to bring in my friends. I had producers. I directed the entire thing. So it just felt like how I see myself in the future, but with a big time brand backing me. And that was a complete blessing because it was unexpected. And the way they found me was off a podcast, doing something similar to this.
Hmm.
The head of marketing of for Canon just so happened to listen to it, and he had DM'd me the next day. It came out and said, "Hey, would you like to join Canon?" And 2 weeks after that, they flew me to Iceland for a film, and then we've been working together for almost 2 years now.
Wow. Is it the 505 podcast?
The 505, yes.
Nice. Yeah. Because I thought, when I was doing some research for this podcast, I
uh,
saw some clips. Was that Sam Newton? Is that the
Sam
name?
Newton, yes, yes, yes.
Sam Newton. Okay. So
Mhm.
marketing guy he's the head of marketing for Canon?
He's not. He's one of the other ambassadors. So
Okay.
the head of marketing reached out to Sam because he saw that we're
Uh,
mutuals, and then he brought everybody together from there. So a crazy experience.
yeah. Yeah. That must have been amazing.
It was crazy.
The dream. Yeah.
Yeah, for
Um,
real.
Very cool. What else have you been doing since Canon? Like what exactly? So you're
Hmm.
more would you say you're like a creative director more than a photographer? It seems like you're kind of carrying a lot of different hats, right? You do the photo, the video, directing.
Hmm.
Can you talk a little bit more about what that's like?
Yeah, I kind of do everything as of right now. My end all be all, I want to be a director. I own my own production company now. So whenever brands reach out to me or my business, they don't come to me just for Jay, can you do a video or photo for us? They come to us. I call myself us because I have a full team now in order to create concepts that they have. And I kind of take their concept and I kind of stretch it out as a creative director hat that I am, and then also put in a producer hat, bringing on the best team possible to create that vision, and then put my director hat on to kind of make sure that vision is fulfilled throughout the shoot. And then I wish I can retire the editing hat because that's the hardest part.
And so you have to do the editing as well. That's
A
under
lot of
you.
times, I would say right now it's about 60-40 where I edit, and then another 40% when the budget allocates itself well, I can hire somebody else out to edit, and that's the best part.
Hmm. Yeah, because I assume that would take a lot of your time, right? If you're
It
having
takes
to
so
edit as
much
well
time.
as run everything out.
And I love editing. Like for my personal projects, I would love to be the editor. But for to see myself scale in my business, I want to have a full team in order to do that. And it kind of slows everything down once you have to wear all the hats. And that's the pleasure of having the coolest friends in the world that are so talented at everything. Now it's just like something that I can get the budget and then pay my friends out to do the rest.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah, that seems pretty much like the dream.
Yeah,
And
exactly. So it's
so when
happening
you say,
slowly but surely.
yeah, yeah, that's awesome. And you say, so you got the J4 production, and then I see you've
Mhm,
also got your own content. You've got a YouTube channel like what I was looking at, and then
mhm,
you've got that you're going the Instagram. How do you
mhm.
balance between working on your business as well as that personal brand of yours that you've created?
I wish I had the answers for all that. It's kind of the hardest thing to do. Right now, I'm focused on just business stuff, and the
Hmm.
personal content brand kind of had to take a step back because I got to pay the bills, of course. But to fully flesh out of a dream scenario, dream day in my life is to have the personal brand be the main thing, and then my other business be the other 50% as well.
Hmm.
So as of right now, I'm kind of feeling the load of just like, all right, this work on the business and then the brand stuff will come in the back end. But in the future, I want to have everything kind of fully going pretty soon.
And how do you think, out of curiosity, for someone
Hmm.
that is, let's say, in that boat, which either has a business like you have, or if, let's say, I want to be a YouTuber, some type of content creator, and let's say I'm working a regular 9 to 5 job and I want to start
Hmm.
focusing more on that personal side. But as you're saying, with all the editing, the creating content, it takes so much time, right?
It takes
So,
so much time. Yeah.
like, how exactly do you make that transition to hopefully achieving those goals of just working full time on your personal brand, which seems the dream?
Yeah, so kind of just being smart with your schedule. And I'm learning this myself of just time blocking your day. For
Hmm.
me, I'm an early riser, so I wake up at like 4:30 in the morning and I try to get
Wow.
all of my business stuff done from like 5:30 to like 12 o'clock. And that's just purely focused on business. And then right after that, I get food, I work on myself, I give myself about 2 hours of my personal time. And then from like 2:30 to about 7 o'clock, um, I focus on just like more of the personal stuff, like the passion projects, because now all the business stuff is done and taken care of that first part of the day. And then the second part of the day is you being passionate. And then after that, just give yourself time to kind of chill and relax. I think that's important is kind of keeping all aspects, the creative, the business, and the personal healthy.
Hmm. Yeah. Well, I'm impressed by the early rising. You've even beat me because I used to not be that early of a riser. I mean, I just finished studying university in June this year,
Oh,
but
wow,
when I was at
congrats.
school, yeah, thanks. I always dreamt of having an early schedule, but at school with living with 4 other guys, we were just going out most nights. It was hard to get that schedule, but then I promised
Yeah,
myself when I'm done, then I'll start waking up early. So actually the last since like mid-August, so I guess now the last 2 months I
mhm,
woke up 5 every single day.
there you
Um,
go.
so
It's
that's
it's
been gonna
important to
kind of
build that
try to
habit.
follow that, yeah.
Yeah, man.
So,
And it's not easy, you know what I mean? Like I would love to say I do it every single day of my life, but there's also days where I go out with my friends or my girlfriend and I just have fun and I give myself time to I push my schedule back a little bit more, but it's important to at least keep most of those days consistent as possible. And then that's when success starts to come.
for sure. And can I hear more about, you said that the first half of the day is the priorities, the J4
Hmm.
production, kind of your business, and then later in the day is more of those passion projects. Can I hear
Hmm.
about what you're doing on the passion project side as well?
Yeah, so right now it's just kind of like I said when I was earlier starting my career is like showing brands and companies like what I can do. I would love to say that I've done everything so far, but I haven't. I really want to focus in on telling stories in this coming future, and I really see myself being a big time director one day. But you have to prove it. You know what I mean? You have to put in the reps. And so right now I'm working on a few short films that uh, co-written, I written, and then getting help from some of my friends that they wrote. and putting those out there into the world. So right now I'm working on two currently. So one for Canon, and it's another passion project of mine. It's kind of an underdog story where I got a few friends of mine to kind of really put out a narrative project, and that's something that I haven't done quite yet. And right now it's looking really good. I really want to put those things out there into the world and enter them into the short film things, and hopefully win some awards, and then to get my name out there a little bit more.
Yeah, that's very cool. Congrats.
Appreciate it, man.
Yeah, and for a short form like that, to get awards and to get seen and recognition, where do you post that? Is that on YouTube, or is there kind of certain platforms
No,
that you're posting?
there's certain platforms. There's a thing called Short of the Week. That's a really popular one in
Hmm.
the filmmaking world, of where there's like different categories that they put you in. So it can be narrative, documentary, commercial, you name it, and
Okay.
then you enter it. It's a small fee, and then they have people vote on it. And then there's also regular film festivals that go on uh, all around the year, and then you just pay a certain price to get in, to get entered, and then people vote for you and see if it's a good thing. And then once you get accredited, those get brought onto the bigger film festivals, which is the Cannes Film Festival. Um, I think it's in Italy, and that's one of the biggest in the world. And once you get
Mhm.
your name on there, you win awards there. That's when you're like a legit director. That's when you can start getting hired from big time production companies to do future films and stuff like that. So it's a process to it. And like I said, you have to put in the reps, and that's what I'm doing right now.
Yeah. Wow, that's very cool. It's almost this whole different world, which I'm not as familiar with, but um, yeah, yeah, that's amazing. What exactly is it like being a
hmm
creative director? Like, what's it like being on set? I assume, like you're saying,
hmm
you're managing all these different people, right? So there's a lot of moving parts. What's the process like for actually creating a film?
So many steps into it. As first of all, is just coming up with the idea and kind of seeing what resonates to you first, and then
Hmm.
kind of getting a writer involved with that, or yourself write it out, and then pitch it out to people. And hopefully, companies or different agencies have the money to back you up. That's the hardest part, is getting money for your films. That's why a lot of people have to do it themselves and just grab a camera, their friends, and whatever, and make their own film. But I got blessed and had Canon back me, so they gave me a good amount of money to put those projects out there. So that gives me already a step ahead of a lot of
Yeah.
people. And now, once you make a good project, and I hope this project is amazing. I think people will like it. That's when you start entering in the film festivals, and then hopefully from there it gets picked up. But it's a long process to it.
And so if let's say someone, just out of curiosity, if let's say someone's
hmm
listening that they wanted to get into kind of that film production, but let's say they're just standing at ground zero, they don't have the
hmm
backup, do you just throw it on YouTube, or what exactly would be the
Yeah,
process if
just
you have
start on
no
YouTube.
reason?
Yeah, just start on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram. There's no excuse to not be seen nowadays, because
Hmm.
there's so much content being pushed out. You don't necessarily need a force behind you to get noticed. And a lot of people are getting so creative, and now people have access to the best cameras in the world for way cheaper than it used to be. So if you just put those projects out into the world and build a following, somebody's going to see it, and you never know who's watching. And for something like this, like a podcast that I did for the 505, I got noticed. And
Hmm.
just putting your work out there into the world and having these type of conversations, you never know where that's going to lead you. And by you just doing what you have to do, somebody's going to see it.
For sure.
hmm
And when you mention the building your social media, building that personal brand,
hmm
you've, in addition to your business, also built that personal brand up to a pretty solid following. What's been that process like, just building that, like Instagram and YouTube and things like that
Yeah,
for you?
that's the hardest part, and I wish I did have more. But like right now, my brain is so on such the business, but the personal side
Hmm.
is just as important. You know what I mean? A lot of companies, different jobs are coming in because they want to hire Jay Ford just because he's Jay Ford, not because he makes cool videos. Because there's millions of people that make cool videos or take good photos nowadays, but what's going to set you apart is your personal side. And what do you
Hmm.
bring to somebody's company? What do you bring to somebody's agency that uh, that is welcome? They want to pay you to kind of be the guy that they have confidence in, or somebody that can be super nice to everybody on set, somebody that can you know what I mean? Just have a good overall personality, energy to it. And the more you put that out there into the world, the more it's like, hey, I really like that J4 guy. Like, let's bring him on here. And that's what the power of being a good person, honestly. That will take you a
Mhm.
long way.
For sure. What's a day in the life of someone like you that is juggling all those different hats and is doing the
Mhm.
creative director, working on the Instagram, doing those projects with Canon? Like you kind of talked a little bit about organizing that, but I'm also curious what a day is like for you.
Uh, it gets kind of crazy. I mean, a lot of the times it's pretty boring. Like I said, it's kind of having that strict set schedule. And I say 90% of the time is kind of just editing, organizing, kind of staying locked in. And then that 90% that you put in, the 10% that you get out of it is the amazing things of the film festivals, the traveling around the world, the cool stuff. But the more you stay locked in, it's not going to be glamorous all the time. It's not supposed to be. And just for like any NBA player, they're practicing most of the time. You only get to see them make the championship once every year. You know what I mean? Once
Mhm.
a year. You know what I mean? But like the rest of that time, they're just grinding, grinding, grinding. And that's the same thing for us or anybody that's success. You got to put your head down. You have to lock in, stay in, and that's what I'm doing right now.
Well, but one thing, you said, day to day, obviously, I guess, yeah, you don't always see those glamorous things, but
Hmm.
I did see your you had a couple of vlogs out on the YouTube channel as well. I think that was from like 5 or 6 months ago. Honestly, I really enjoyed that.
I appreciate it,
It does
man.
seem like you have an interesting life, and yeah, I'm hoping to in the future, obviously focus on Jay Ford,
Hmm.
the business side as well. But I'd love to see more of those
I
YouTube
know.
videos come out. And also, just by the way, I see your studio in the back because in one of your videos, you're obviously talking about the studio, and it's a
Hmm.
sick backdrop too, just for like one day to day, but also just talking and stuff
Yeah,
there.
it's pretty aesthetically pleasing, and that's the way I wanted it to be. And it's when you wake up feeling good about your space, and then like you can shoot in it, you can do whatever you want in it. Like I've done a couple commercial projects in here, and that
Hmm.
was always my dream. I wanted something cool to kind of lay my hat down every night of like, this is my workspace. This is where I can do podcasts. This is where I can do my videos, photo shoots, and I love it. I love it.
Yeah. And how,
Yeah.
just out of curiosity, because one day, as you can see, I don't got much of a backdrop right now. I'm just doing this in my parents' in the living room, but one day I'm inspired. One day I'll have a nice setup, hopefully. What
It's gonna
was like,
happen, man.
how did you curate everything together? Like, what was the inspiration? It also seems like you got great style, great, like everything just looks good behind you.
I
And
appreciate
so
it,
I'm
bro.
just wondering, like, what's the process like for like creating like a space you want to work at, organizing everything, getting that aesthetic right?
Just getting a lot of inspiration from a lot of other people, like TikTok. I'm a nerd into
Mhm.
like the loft TikTok. Everybody has
Oh
like
yeah.
the cool aesthetic and stuff like that. So I kind of bite off other people. I had help from my girlfriend. I had help from friends of like who are what do you call it? Interior designers.
Hmm.
And then they kind of put their 2 cents on what I should get, what couch I should get, and then from there you kind of just put those ideas together, and it's coming together now.
Yeah, yeah, looks great. I'm excited to see future
Appreciate it, bro.
episodes hopefully from that.
I know, man.
And
Like when you said like put more time towards a personal brand, like that is literally what I'm going through right now. I'm like, all right, I gotta start making my YouTube channel. Even Canon said like, we want you to post these things, but you have to like post a little bit more. And I'm like, all right, I gotta put that energy into myself a little bit more.
yeah, but as you said, I mean, it's hard. Like just even me with the podcast because I'm trying to build a business in the podcast, and I know you mean trying to, the editing, the
Hmm.
organizing everything. It takes a lot of time, so it's hard
So
to
much time.
balance everything for
Yeah.
sure. But a lot of value in that.
Yeah.
And another thing that you mentioned that I wanted to ask about was you said for your job you've been doing a lot of traveling around the world. Can I ask where you've traveled and what that aspect of your job is like?
Yeah, it's the coolest thing in the world. So when I first was in college, I'd never been outside the country. And then for spring break, I went to Mexico. And from there I kind of got hooked. I'm like, I just want to travel now. And like how can I travel? And my goal was to hit 30 countries by 30. I'm 29 now and I just hit my 30th country a month ago.
Oh, nice,
And
nice, congrats.
it's been the coolest thing. And one of the things that I did was like I would make enough money to buy a ticket somewhere, and then I would reach out to different hotels and stuff like that, and ask them to shoot for free. I was like, "Hey, I'm Jay Ford. I'm from LA. I'm coming to Hawaii next week. Can I go to your hotel for not only a free stay, but I would love to give you guys free content." And I knew that in the back of my mind, this is a business move because, like, yeah, I'm shooting for free. I'm taking a lot of time, but this is proof of concept for other things. So
Hmm.
once I have the hotels content, now I can leverage that to other hotels around Hawaii or around the world, and things kind of snowballed from there. And then now I'm known as the travel videographer or the travel photographer in a certain realm. And now people hit me up from all around the world of like, "Hey, can you do this for us here?" Like, for example, I have a meeting tomorrow doing another job in Canada, in Vancouver, actually.
Oh, very good. Oh,
Yeah,
nice.
yeah. And so now it's just like I present myself as somebody that travels around the world. So now people aren't afraid of hitting me up because I don't just work in LA. They see my work all around the
Hmm.
world. And yeah, it's pretty cool.
And so when you're doing that for these different places around the world, was that before you had a following? Like, was that posting on your own social media, or were you creating content to give them for their own kind of ads in their own social media?
For their own social media. So this is before Instagram even took off like that. This is like
Hmm.
2016, 2017, before it like really blew up the way it is now. But yeah, I was just reaching out to different hotels and stuff. Like, say, I'm Jay. I'll make content for you. You can post and do whatever you want for it. In exchange, just let me shoot. And I didn't even care about
Yeah.
staying there. I'll pay my own way. And then that kind of helped me get my name out there. And then when I posted on my own social media, it looked like I was traveling the world shooting for this hotel, but in reality, I'm like, I'm paying my own money.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
that's really cool, and I guess it was just got me thinking too, because I feel like a lot of people that are maybe doing social media nowadays, as Instagram and TikTok's taking off, they
Hmm.
might think, as they build a solid social media, they could present that to different hotels and hostels and stuff, and say, "Hey, I'll post on my own social media for free stay." But an interesting thing about that as well is you don't necessarily need a big social media as long as you got the skills. You can also use that to
Exactly.
travel and stuff, especially when people are younger and they
Hmm.
want to travel and they might not have the budget. You can really utilize that and help out these businesses as well to be able to travel,
Exactly.
right?
Because like we're in a day where everybody needs media, you know what I mean? And
Hmm.
for like these hotels or these big companies around the world, like they don't have the luxury of having LA photographers, videographers, or production companies to bite from. A lot of the times they're doing it from their iPhone or they're hiring a local photographer that's not as experienced as us to take pictures. But when they get a call from somebody like us that has the proof of concept that's worked with different brands around the world, they're like, "Oh, hell yeah, can you do that for us?" And you just show them the work and be a nice person, and more times than not, they'll give you that opportunity.
Very cool. And
Yeah.
so you said, just in terms of the travel piece, you said you're 30 now or just turning 30 and
29,
you
29, 29. So
29. Okay, I don't want to get
yeah.
ahead of myself. Yeah. Tw-
Slow down.
yeah. 29, 30 countries.
Uh,
What do you say your favorite place you've been?
oh, that's a hard one. Iceland is up there for sure.
Hmm.
Thailand, I love. Damn, that's a hard one. I would say Iceland, Thailand, Korea is pretty cool. Are probably my top three. Yeah,
Very
and
nice.
they're all different vibes. It depends on the vibe that I'm going for. If I want to hang out and party, there's other places that I would love to go to. If I want to see sights, like Iceland is one of them. If I want to have the best food for the cheapest, I want to go to Thailand. So it depends on my mood. That's when the best country is.
Hmm. Makes a lot of sense. Yeah, each of
Yeah,
those they're very different. They cater to a different audience, so that's
exactly.
interesting to hear.
Yeah.
And now that you've hit that 30 by 30, do you have future travel aspirations, or you think of kind of toning it down now that you've achieved that goal?
Uh, if you would have asked me a year ago, I would have said I would have sped it up and did 40 by 35. But as of right now, I'm really focusing on the business and kind of scaling it as fast as possible. Just to because I don't want to just be doing everything for the rest of my life. I want to have a business. I want to be able to have a family. and be able to have kids and give the business to them one day. So
Hmm.
I had my 30 by 30 fund. So now I'm really ready to kind of lock down and kind of scale it out. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. That's great. And talking more about the business, so you've worked with massive magazine and labels like
Hmm.
Vogue as well as big celebrities. What's that
Hmm.
like working with those massive personalities? Like I saw, what was it, Travis Scott? You're doing some stuff where
Yeah.
like big names, right? Like
Yeah.
what's that like working with those type of people? Because I assume
It's
they're very different from just the average folk that you'd work with in production, just like average day
uh,
to day, right?
uh, honestly, no, you'll be surprised. A lot of
No,
these people are really down to earth, really cool people.
interesting.
They're just like us, you know what I mean? And as long as you have the confidence, you're not acting like they're the biggest person in the world standing next to you. You're not idolizing them. They're cool down to earth people, just like me and you. They're just working at the end of the day. They just happen to have a huge platform. Like just for example, Travis Scott is probably one of the nicest people I ever met. He was super humble, said hi to everybody, was super respectful to everybody, shook everybody's hand, took pictures with every single person that he could possible, and he was just cool. And my outside expectations before I went in, he was like, "Oh, it could be like crazy. He's an arrogant guy. He's kind of wild." But once you get to know him, it's like, wow, this dude is really cool. It's the people that work with the celebrities. Those are the people that are tough to work with. They because they're trying to protect that person so much that they kind of
Hmm.
think less of you. And once you can maneuver past those people and get to the real people, you'll be good.
Interesting. And is it like why is that they act that way? Is it an arrogance in a way, or they're just like doing their
It's
best to
business
protect
for
those
them.
big? Yeah.
Yeah, it's just business for them. You know what I mean? Like when you have publicists or you're a security guard or like you have to protect the asset. You know what I mean? So like you can't just go up to Travis Scott and just do whatever you want because security is like, yo, back up, back up, back up. But like Travis Scott, the person is actually a cool dude. But when you have the publicist and then his assistants and all the other stuff, like everybody feels like they need to do their job, and that's when it's like kind of tough. But for the most part, it's pretty cool. Like it's a dream job. One of my coolest things was I got to meet like at the Super Bowl. I got hired to shoot the red carpet at the Super Bowl, and I got to meet Tom Brady. I got to meet Peyton
Mm.
Manning. I met
Wow.
Travis Scott there for the first time. Kim Kardashian, Justin Bieber, and that was like the coolest experiences ever. And I just learned from them. I'm like, everybody's the same. Everybody's the same.
Very interesting. Yeah,
Hmm.
that's it's an interesting perspective because most people haven't been in contact with these people. So I guess, some might say they're
Hmm.
like everybody else, and some might just assume that they're arrogant or different. So it's interesting to hear that perspective of someone
Yeah,
that's been in touch firsthand with them.
yeah, and I don't know. Like I've never really, and I've seen so many celebrities. I never really had a bad experience. The only bad experience that I've had was with influencers, the people that think they're
Mm.
celebrities.
Yeah.
That's what it is like weird, and they become very entitled. But the people that are the actual celebrities, I never had an issue.
Hmm. And that that is actually, yeah, very interesting,
Hmm.
um food for thought. And that red carpet, so that was through your production company that you were able to work that red carpet and interact
Yeah,
with all those people?
exactly. So Fanatics hired J4 Productions to do all the red carpet content for social media, website, you name it. Then they pay us, and for me, I just hire my friends out, and it was like, hey, I got the Super Bowl. Are you available this day? We need this, and this. So we had two spot editors, we had four shooters, um, photographers, and yeah, they paid us a good price, and then we went up there and did it. So it was pretty cool.
Yeah, that's very cool. That's a massive gig. Yeah, that
Yeah, it's huge.
like what can I ask how exactly do you get business like that, or someone that, because that seems like almost the dream, working with people at that level, like this is a
Mhm.
massive client, right? Is that like you're outreaching them, or you've kind of through word of mouth established your own brand
Uh,
where people are starting to come to you with deals
yeah,
like that?
just word of mouth. I've had an agency that I was working with that I started doing maybe 3 or 4 years ago, and they put me on a red carpet and I killed it. They just wanted like social media content, and I ended up like really working my butt off and creating up so much content for them within like a day's worth. And that word got out, and one agent leads to another, and then your name kind of reaches up to hire companies now. And so whenever they have a red carpet, they think about me because like I did so well that first time that kind of proved my worth for the next couple of years. So now they hire me on for everything.
That's great. That's
Yeah.
amazing. And was it similar for also you worked for massive companies in production, like
hmm
magazines like Vogue and
hmm
Harper's Bazaar and stuff like that? Was it a similar process working for them, or how did you get those type of?
Uh, so the Vogue magazine one, that was crazy. So I just got hit up on Instagram one day from a guy, and he was like, "Hey, I just saw your work, and I have this opportunity." He didn't tell me it was Vogue at first, and then once we started having phone meetings, Zoom meetings, they mentioned what it was, and then I had to sign an NDA, and I was like, "Oh wow, this is huge!" And this is right out
Yeah.
of college. I'm like 22
Wow.
at the time, and I was just putting out those passion projects, and somebody just so happened to see it, and guy hit me up, and then from there, it just came and kept going.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's insane. I guess yeah. The lesson there, just put stuff out. You really never know what's gonna happen.
yeah.
You
It
just put
doesn't
out a
matter
bunch of
how many
projects.
likes you
And now
get,
you're
how
working
many
for
views
Vogue.
you
Yeah.
get. Like you never know who's watching, and like there's some big time people looking for people like us. And
Mhm.
if I could do it, anybody can do it. Yeah,
And
man.
you also talked so for J4 production, that's your main focus right now. That's something that you want to build up, and you mentioned,
hmm
one day hopefully giving that over to your kids. Can I hear about like from now to that next step? Like what exactly is the vision there? If I could hear that kind of the
Yeah.
longer term goals there.
Yeah, so my big dream is to become a big time director, but also I want to have my own production company. So continuing to do uh, what I'm doing now, but not necessarily doing all the roles. So like, hey, they hired J for Productions, a red carpet. I have my team underneath me that I'm fully paying. They're full time. I'm like, hey, we have a shoot in Florida. I have a team to go out there to Florida. I'm kind of maneuvering it from the back end, and but for me, J4, the personal side, I want to be the big time director that's directing future films, all that stuff, and then the money maker is also the production company doing those smaller gigs and not do the bigger ones.
That's
Yeah, so
amazing.
yeah, bro, I
Yeah,
appreciate it.
very cool. Well, I got one more key question for you.
Mhm.
And that's from everything that you've done, see, with the J4 Productions right out of university, built a very successful business, and you've got so much going on in the future. Um, for someone that is kind of, at the very beginning, let's say, you've done nothing, you're looking on your Instagram, you're looking at your website, and you see that this is something and someone that I aspire to be, what would you say if you could go back to your younger self or someone that's in those shoes? Advice that you'd give them to see success in the future?
Um, Good question. Just don't stop. It's not going to be great every day. You know what I mean? Like sometimes it's going to be harder. It's going to be way harder than it looks. And don't
Hmm.
compare yourself to other people that are the same age as you. Don't compare yourself uh people that say they're successful but they're really not. Just like focus on you so much that you become addicted to it, and reach out to the people that have done it, that people that have inspired you, and ask them questions, ask them how they did it, and don't listen to anybody else that hasn't done it. For example, like my mentor, he's a photographer, videographer. He's a little bit older than me, and he's done everything that I want to do. I'm going to listen to him and not necessarily my parents, because my parents doesn't they don't understand the world that I'm in. They don't understand what goes into photography or how much money you can make. They just trying to protect you. But
Hmm.
reach out to the people that have done it and listen to them. They can guide you to those steps, and just keep focused and lock in, and don't worry about the hard days because they're going to happen. If you just stick through it, good things are going to come out of
I love that.
it.
And
Yeah.
one question I have from what you said there is, I see what you're saying. I see a lot of value in having a mentor that's done what you've done rather
Hmm.
than just maybe the people in your life that obviously love you and want the best for you, but maybe haven't walked that walk. How
Hmm.
exactly do you find a mentor in your field, and how did you? Because I know you, I
Hmm.
guess you could just see someone on social media and reach out, but like, do you just cold outreach someone that you think has cool content, or is it you first kind of build some type of connection with that person and gradually that becomes your mentor?
I don't think there is a correct way of doing it. For me, I saw this person and I reached out right away. I'm like, hey, I love your work. My name is Jay. I live in LA. I just moved out here. I'd love to go, grab lunch with you and just kind of pick your brain. And uh,
Hmm.
and then that person just so happened to hit me back right away. It was like, hey, are you free tomorrow? And I was like, let's do it. And from there, we kind of built that relationship from there on out. But I also say, like, you don't have to personally know your mentor. There's so many people on YouTube making content that is geared towards your focus, and they can be your mentors as well because like the stuff that they put out there can really resonate with you. They can really inspire you. Um, Depends on who you're looking for, but yeah, you can find a mentor anywhere. But the best part is having that personal relationship to ask them the one-on-one questions, and don't be afraid to reach out because I did it, and I just so happened to get lucky, and this person has brought me on to those bigger shoots as well, where I'm just shadowing or doing behind the scenes and kind of and I make connections from there. But yeah, don't be afraid to reach out.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
Well,
appreciate it, man.
yeah, yeah. Jay, thanks so much for this conversation. I feel like I was able to take away a lot, and hopefully everybody that's listening will also be able to take away a lot from what you said. Where can the people that are hopefully listening find you online, both your social media as well as your website, if there's anyone looking to do work with you?
Yeah, so my Instagram is J4, Jay underscore FORD, like the car. My
Mhm.
website is j4productions.com. And I'm still working on the YouTube channel, but you can find me at J4 on YouTube. And more is coming, I promise. Like I said, I'm blocking out my schedule and putting that time and dedication into it. So yeah, more to come for that.
Sounds good. Well, I'm looking forward to that. Thanks so much, Jay.
Of
And
course, man. Thank you
yeah,
for having me.
yeah, of course. And to all our listeners, don't forget to, if you enjoyed this episode, leave a review, subscribe, share with a friend, and check out Jay. So we'll see you in the next episode.
Yes, sir.